All right, everyone, welcome back to Cult Fiction. We are doing another San Diego Comic-Con episode because the guys just got back from San Diego Comic-Con. Without me, I don't go. They enjoy it. I don't like people. So I'm glad you guys went. I'm glad that you guys had fun. You guys came back with a lot of great stories and a lot of great souvenirs, I'm sure, which we'll get into. But I do want to ask some questions about like how it went this time around, because this was last time we talked in the last 10 years. I think you said you've gone 8 times. Is that right?
Sounds about
Yeah,
right.
because 2020 was closed, and then I think 2021 was also
Right.
closed. Yeah.
Yeah, so that makes sense. So this is your ninth time back at Comic-Con, and I'm wondering, especially with COVID, and you guys have been back since COVID, but especially with COVID, has there been any significant changes, anything different that you noticed this time around going into Comic-Con, from the time that you got there, from the time that you got your lodging, your travel, your tickets, getting in line, getting into the venue, anything that has changed, either significantly or insignificantly, just differences.
It is it does have weirdly less people, even though it's still super crowded,
Hmm.
like it's still really packed, but you can see that there is just slightly less people now. But
Yeah, it used to be, I mean, it was like shoulder to shoulder on the floor, right? If you're trying to move from one side of the floor to the other, it's just a throng of people, right? And now it is, and last year too, it was not as crowded as it had been before COVID, right? So you
but
can,
still very crowded.
it's still,
Yeah.
yeah, it's still really a crowded event, but I mean, it was like sardines before, and it's a lot more thinned out now. I don't know if that's because there's fewer people that are coming. Eric, do you know if there's actually fewer tickets sold?
I don't know, but I'll say that when I was in McFarlane's panel, he said that it was back to like pre-COVID levels.
Hmm.
That he said the wait times and and their metrics. I don't know exactly what his metrics were, but from what he was being told that he's like Comic-Con's all the way back.
Well, and
So I
he
don't know
might
what that
be
means
he might be
exactly.
using a metric because last time when we went last year, we noticed something that the Hall H events were nowhere near as interesting, right?
Right.
Mm.
Also you have to take into account that if I'm not mistaken, the first year back was the strike year, right?
Oh yeah.
Right.
Is that the case?
Mm.
Like, so the first year after they closed it for 2 years was then the strike year, right? And that was weirdly different. Am I
Mhm.
am I getting that timeline right? And that was very different because there weren't any announcements for like big TV shows, big movies.
Right.
The comic creators basically became the stars again.
Right.
And that was 2023. Actually, that was 2023. So that was maybe that's right, because the first year back was the year that everybody had to wear masks and stuff still.
Hmm.
Then 2023 is the strike year. Last year felt like more normal again, and then maybe what he's saying is now they're all the way back. Now
Maybe.
they have
Maybe.
big announcements again and stuff like that. Because last year there weren't that many big announcements, and the year before there were definitely not because of the strike.
Right. But I also feel like the big tentpole brands like Marvel, Sony, Disney, Warcraft, Blizzard, right? Like they're not doing any presentations because they all have their own cons now, right? So they're not doing as much as they used to.
I
Uh,
definitely like on that note, I feel like I didn't see as much news coming out uh just on the articles, on the forums type thing, as I did the last couple of years. I don't know if that has to do with the vendors that were there, the vendors being, the companies and things like that,
mhm.
Disney or Hulu or Netflix or whatever. Um, but I didn't see as many things happening. I did see some trailers come out finally that I've been waiting for, which was
Mhm.
exciting, but it still felt very lackluster. And to go back to Todd McFarlane's panel, um, based on my experience, you kind of get like when a show is sold out, to say when a concert sold out, they have a ceiling of the amount of tickets they want to sell, and
Right.
that's sold out. Doesn't mean the venue is going to be full, and you're also not accounting for people that are showing up. The tickets are bought. If they don't show up, that's on them.
Mhm.
So I wanted to round that back to you saying it didn't feel like a can of sardines. Is this more like, was it easier to navigate because it felt like there was a lighter crowd? Because
Slightly.
Yeah, and you know, and it may be like a maturation of Comic-Con goers as well. Like people understand more that you have to keep moving. That there has to be two rows of people coming this way, people going that way. The first time that we went, which was back, I want to say in like 2016, 2015,
14.
14. Yeah.
2014. Wow. We we had no idea what we were doing. We just were all, we stuck together and went everywhere together. And I feel like that's what a lot of people were doing. This one felt more like people understood how the space was supposed to be used. But it did feel like there were fewer people there. And that might be because, like I said before, the big tentpole stuff, isn't drawing crowds like it used to, which for me is fine. Like I'm not there to see the latest Disney trailer. That's not why I go to Comic-Con. I don't know about these guys, but I like to go to the writing panels. I like to talk to the artists and the writers that I know that are there, right? And just kind of network. But for people that are film junkies, or people that are game junkies or whatever, I feel like Comic-Con is going through a change, and it is reverting back to a more artist centric structure as opposed to the big brands. What do you guys think?
Maybe. I mean, there are, like you mentioned before, they have their own cons now. A lot of these big stuff.
Mhm.
Like it used to be like Marvel and Star Wars used to be like the biggest
Right.
event at Comic-Con, like pre-COVID probably. And the big announcements about Star Wars movies and Marvel movies would be at Hall 8 and Comic-Con. And
Mhm.
now they Marvel still does some big announcements, but like Star Wars really isn't there anymore. And so yeah, the whatever you want to call it, the big huge names aren't as prevalent anymore, but there's still a tremendous amount of activity.
Mhm. What do you think, Eric?
I don't know. I feel like maybe we're also not the best judge because we know exactly what we want to do and where we want to go.
Mm.
I mean, you could probably in the 5 days, or let's say 4 days, the 4 days that we were there, you could probably count, Jubal, you could probably count on one hand how many hours you spent on the actual floor
Mhm.
and not
Mhm.
in panels.
Right.
So it's like I don't know if we're like the best, like when it comes to like, oh, what was the floor like? I don't know. I was there like 3 hours total.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, at this point, we've seen that pretty much the same vendors, and they have new stock and they have new stuff, but
Exactly.
it's sort of like there's no real big surprises as far as the
Right.
shop
And
goes.
that's part of it, right? It's like I almost know exactly where to go to for like I remember maybe like the first 4 years we went, I went to the same vendor every time because I thought he had good prices on some things, and he was in the same spot every time.
Mm.
It's like I know where the CGC booth is if I want to turn in a comic. I know where the t-shirt booths are. I know where a couple of, vendors are. I'm sure they've changed, like some of them have changed, but not a ton. The real changes are like kind of more in the middle, where
Mm.
it's just like, but even then, there's going to be a Hasbro booth, there's going to be a
Sure.
Marvel booth, there's going to be a Mattel booth, there's going to be, Funko's going to be back in the corner, and then you're going to have Artist Alley. So it's like, um, it's worked out for us because we can go, okay, I want to get this and this done on the floor, and I feel like I can accomplish that in like 2 hours.
Mhm.
You know,
Right.
that's not how it was the first few years. The first few years was
Mhm.
like,
it's overwhelming, I'm sure. You
it's
walk in,
overwhelming. We got to the point where I would spend it seemed like a couple hours a day because I was like afraid I was going to miss something or whatever.
Right,
And now I've
right.
seen everything. I'm not going to miss anything,
Right.
Mhm.
So Eric, you brought up Todd McFarlane and going to his panel. So I'm going to do this with all three of you. But real quick, Todd McFarlane, what was your number one takeaway from his panel?
The number one takeaway from his panel. Um, you know what? I think I told the guys he had a good Ozzy Osbourne story. That was pretty interesting. Um,
Which I mean, it coincided with Ozzy. Was it before
right.
Ozzy's death or wait?
No, it was just after Ozzy passed away.
Mm.
He was actually sharing that he has an Ozzy Osbourne figure that's coming out in the fall, and it just happened to kind of it's like, kind of, a shitty coincidence, but that's the situation. And so he told what I thought was a pretty fun Ozzy Osbourne story, and that was the main takeaway. Uh, he's a smart guy. He knows the business. I go to like mainly his toy um, part, which is funny because I don't really most of his toys I don't partake in. I partake in some of the sports figures from time to time, and then he has like a Silver Surfer statue thing that he's coming out with this year that I'll probably end up getting that.
Right.
But I kind of go because he's a good storyteller. He's like Jim Lee. Jim Lee is a fantastic storyteller.
Right.
Um, so that's kind of why I go, and then maybe to get a glimpse of some sports figure or something that I might be interested in.
I actually had I don't have it anymore, but I had his Rob Zombie and I had his Alice Cooper figures
Nice.
Right,
Mhm.
right,
back
right.
in the studio. They're gone now, but never had an Ozzy, so good to know that he's coming out with one.
Yes.
Pick a panel and your takeaway from it.
So I had here's a funny story. Probably my favorite panel, maybe my favorite panel at the con was the panel for Butterfly, which is the new show that's coming out on Amazon Prime, right? Because it was completely surprising. It was a relatively small room. It was about a 500-person room, and so I thought, oh, this is going to be just kind of an outline. Maybe they'll have the showrunner there with like a couple of writers, and they'll talk about some stuff. But the showrunner was there with the producer, the head writer, and then they're like, by the way, we brought Daniel Day Kim, who is the star of the show, right? And the two co-stars who play his daughter and then the villain. And so like the whole cast was there in this relatively small room, and they were really excited about the show, and they ended up playing like the first 10 minutes of the first episode, and they were talking about it, and they were talking about making it, and they were having fun, right? The cast was having a good time. The writer and the producer were having a good time. Everybody was really excited. They were glad that the room was full, and it felt authentic, right? And also the show looks really cool. And so the next panel after that, okay, so here's this really cool panel, professional panel, close, small room. So that was exciting. The next panel was called Lord of the Rings. What's next? Right? And I'm like, oh, awesome. So what is next? Is it going to be like a new show? Are they planning a new trilogy? Like, what's going on with Lord of the Rings? What are they going to be doing? It was actually, it was the OneRing.net fan club had rented out the room. And so it was like 5 ladies with a combined total of 80 cats between them, and one dude who collected pins. So he had this like he was wearing a kilt, and he had a vest with a bunch of pins on it. He was like, I collect pins. And they talked about the Bilbo Baggins barbecue that they were planning, Bilbo Baggins birthday bash. Look, I love those guys, right? God bless them. But maybe what you should have done is called your panel the Lord of the Rings fan club panel instead of Lord of the Rings What's Next, right? Because it was a full room.
Now you have an exodus of
And now it's like
Oh,
they start talking, and they start talking about their pins and like, all their fanfic stuff. And I'm like, oh man, look at the time. And I'm like in the second row, right? So I'm like, oh damn, I gotta, oh, excuse me,
Mama's got
excuse
stovetops.
me,
Gotta go, gotta
excuse
go.
me, gotta go, excuse me, excuse me. So I'm like walking out, and I see a couple other people kind of stand up slowly as I'm walking out, right? And I'm like, gotta hit that door. I'm out, and I look back down the hallway, and there's just a throng of people coming out of the room, right? And I'm like, oh man, that's like, it's a
Well,
bummer.
so here's the thing. What I like about this is that it shows the diversity and variety of what you're going to
Right,
get. I like that.
right.
It also shows that these people had enough money to book a hall to talk about their Bilbo
Yes,
Baggins.
yeah.
Dude, it's awesome.
That's
It's awesome. They
insane.
just you needed to let people know that that's what the panel was, right?
That's bananas.
You should have said Lord of the Rings fanfic panel or fan club panel or whatever whatever the hell it is. But calling it just Lord of the Rings What's Next, you had that room full of
Yeah.
people that wanted an announcement about the next Hobbit trilogy, right? And that is not what it was. And
Add me on
so
MySpace is what it was. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, seriously,
Exactly. So that was
Like,
like my favorite panel of the con, probably the butterfly panel. I really liked it.
Oh, I thought it was
backed
the
up
Lord of
into
the
your
Rings one.
least favorite.
Lord of the Rings one was probably not my favorite. It was probably my least favorite.
Well, from this conversation, it's my favorite now.
It just wasn't, it wasn't for me. Like it wasn't. It wasn't a
I want to
panel for
look
me.
up. I'm going to Google Lord of the Rings. What's next?
The OneRing.net is the fan club.
Alex,
God bless you guys. I wish you the best.
Your favorite panel?
My favorite panel was actually one of those ones where it's like not a huge panel and it just kind of turns out to be something really cool. But basically, it was just, I think it was just called, Star Wars Surprises or something like that. But basically, it was this guy, his name is Craig Miller, and he had been like a writer and or a producer. He said his title on, I think, and he worked on Empire Strikes Back, and his official title was something like fan relation advisor or something like that. So obviously I was expecting him to talk about like Star Wars stuff, and he did, and that was cool, but he ended up talking about a whole mess of stuff that he had done. He had either been part of a writer or a producer on and like you just name all the stuff. He was like Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, and then it was like John Carpenter's The Thing, War Games, Real Genius, The Dark Crystal, just like all these movies, right? And it's like, wow, this guy really, man, all he did for like an hour was just talk about working on movies, who he worked with, background stories about how some of the stuff happened and interesting tidbits on everything. And it was just like, that's the kind of stuff that really fascinates me when I go find a panel at Comic-Con. It just gives you all this information that you never would have known had you not visited this panel. Like he was talking about War Games, which I actually just went back and watched literally last night because I went to this panel, and he talked about
how did it hold up? How did it hold up, the movie?
You know what? Surprisingly well, I have to say. Like, I mean, obviously it's a little bit dated with some of the stuff. Like, so many of the problems could have just been fixed with a cell phone,
I got to say though, that's an endorsement when you go to a panel and the guy talks about what he worked on, and you're so enthralled with what he's saying. You're like, you know what? I'm gonna go back and watch that bitch now. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just, I hadn't thought about going back and watching it for some time. But he had this one story about how that whole what was the location, like Mount whatever it was, the big secret room with intelligence room with all the screens and panels and everything. And they were contacting the Pentagon or something like that. They wanted to get the schematics for the actual room and like rebuild that. And they came back and said, well, that's top secret. You can't give you the schematics or intelligence rooms and stuff like that. Like, okay. Then they released the movie. And then they got contacted by the same intelligence people. And they were like, we're redesigning our rooms and your rooms were really cool. So it's like, could you give us the schematics and architectural designs for like how you put that room together? And,
I'm sorry, that's top secret.
Yeah, that's what he said. He said, well, yeah, we can do that, but it's going to go through all the official channels and they have to be endorsed, stamped, and then so all of these plans are going to be freely available. So if you still want them, let me know. And he said you never heard back from him again. So it's just like, but it's like stories like that. That's one of the things I really think are cool about Comic-Con. It's like you can meet these people and you can find out all these little interesting side stories that you're never ever going to hear. And it's the closest you can get to having a personal interaction with some of these people.
Right.
That's one of my
That's
favorite
really
things
cool.
about like going to see like Kevin Smith live is getting those
Yeah,
backstories because no show is ever the same, and he tells so many different stories. If you've never seen him, I would suggest it. I think all of us have at this point, right?
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen the DVDs. He's at Comic-Con like every year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was there this year too, but I think he was in Hall H. I have a couple of like quick stories. One that was surprising was my son and I went to see the Twisted Metal, um,
Mhm.
Dude,
preview for season
I'm
2.
I'm I'm so pumped about that. That's one of the previews that came out after Comic-Con.
Right.
I'm excited about that.
We're
The
totally
panel was
pumped
really
about it.
cool for it. Yeah.
Right.
We're totally pumped for it too. So and it was in Ballroom 20, which is, so I looked it up. Ballroom 20's capacity is basically 5,000. Hall
Mhm.
H's is 6,500. So it's pretty close to Hall H. Ballroom 20's pretty big deal. And so we went, and we did not have to wait in line. We normally have to wait in line to get into, maybe not normally, but a lot of times we have to wait in line to get into Ballroom 20. So we get in and we're sitting and we're like, man, we're pretty damn close, like to the front-ish. Like we could get closer if we wanted, but we wanted to kind of lay back so we could see all the screens and stuff like that. And we're kind of looking around, and it was like 40% full,
Mm.
which was shocking. And so my son was like, well, maybe it's just like a preview of what's to come. And so it's going to be like the showrunners. It's not going to be like anybody from the cast.
Right.
Boom, out comes Anthony Mackie.
Shit, yeah.
Out comes, is her name Beatrice, homegirl from Brooklyn Nine-Nine,
Mm.
right? Out comes Samoa Joe, right? And I'm like, okay, now I'm like, what's going on? How is this empty? Because the show was dope. Mackie is like he's friggin'
Yeah.
Captain America right now.
Right.
He's like a B plus A minus level star, right? Samoa Joe's a Hall of Fame level wrestler, and the girl from Brooklyn Nine-Nine, she's got quite a fan base, I would imagine, also from Brooklyn Nine-Nine, right? Um, how is this only 40% full? This is
Mm.
crazy. And then a couple days later, we go to Ghosts, and it's practically standing room only
Mm.
in Ballroom 20. So I don't know what was going on with Twisted Metal. I don't know if something was going on at the same time. If people, what it said in the, I was like, oh, Twisted Metal, we're going. So I didn't like read the description. I hope the description wasn't like, oh, we're gonna recap season 1, and people are like, I don't care if I really
Right.
care about that.
Right.
What service is Ghost on? Is that on a network or is it on a streaming service? Or
It's probably on a streaming service. Do you think is it CBS?
Okay.
I'm not sure, but
I mean, it could be just significantly more popular because I don't know how popular Peacock really is.
Mm.
oh, you know what?
Yeah.
It is CBS. It's Paramount Plus, I
Oh,
think. Right? Yeah.
okay.
So
So who knows?
Peacock is just hemorrhaging money, and when I talk to other people about Twisted Metal, it's like I get blank stares. But
Mm.
I
well,
feel like
Peacock.
Anthony Mackie has put himself into that role and that show 1,000%.
Dude, I'm stoked.
Mhm.
I'm stoked for season 2. I really enjoyed season 1. It's not gonna, it's not gonna blow you away if
Mhm.
like, if you want Oscar level. It's like it delivered. This is something Alex says a lot. It delivered on what it set out to do.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
Good. That's what I
And
want it to do.
Yeah, like
when
if
season
you
when
saw the
season
trailer for Twisted Metal, and you're like, "Hey, that looks good." You're gonna enjoy it.
Right.
You're
yeah,
gonna enjoy it,
it's
right?
so
And
fun.
that's what I want. I don't want you to give me a trailer for something and now you've shown me all the jokes, right?
Right.
How many times have we seen that?
Right.
Where every joke now you've told me in the trailer. You showed me all the good parts, and now the movie is I'm basically waiting for that part that I saw in the
Right.
trailer.
It's just all filling. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So another one I went to, and this is more like I thought this was hilarious. I made the guys. I know Alex at least watched it. It was the WWE panel. You can find it on YouTube. Ringside Collectibles posted the panel, and they had Jey Uso, who just main evented WrestleMania. he came out and he did his whole yeet thing where he, he goes yeet, all this kind of stuff. And that took like 3 or 4 minutes. Like they were just going to town. And so he finally sits down, and the moderator said, you've had a hell of a year. You won your first singles title, the Intercontinental title. You went to Royal Rumble and you knocked out John Cena to win the Royal Rumble. Then you went to WrestleMania and you won the world title from Gunther at Royal Rumble. What could you possibly have in store for us next? And for whatever reason, I just yelled out, a cookbook.
Cabbage.
I just
shouted it out to the audience.
Just shouted it out. A cookbook. And like all the people in the area like heard it and were just busting up. And so you can hear it on, like if you really, turn it up, you can hear me yell out cookbook and then just everybody laughing. I think Jacob Fatu heard me and kind of laughed. And then Jay was a little bit after I said that, somebody said, win it again. Lame answer, stupid answer, stupid. Cookbook.
If he comes out with a cookbook, you have to records of that, and you need royalties from it. Like
that was
real.
So while you guys were gone, one of my friends who sells comics actually had a booth down there at Comic-Con, Comic Web, if you can find him on Instagram, and he posted a video of some.
Yeah, good letting us know. We could have went by and said hi.
Yeah, well, I'm terrible. He posted, I sent you the video. He posted an amazing video of some Galactus cosplay.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you guys saw that.
I did. I've got video of it too. And we'll post it. We'll post it on, whatever the
if we have our own
Instagram or whatever.
fantastic.
Yeah, like every year we got a lot of pictures of some great cosplay. So I think we're gonna do a match.
Me and Alex did, yeah.
Well, that's my question is, like, if you guys didn't see Galactus, let's go ahead and take that off the table. Because Galactus was by far and away the best one. What was your favorite, and what was your like, what are you doing that's terrible moment? Alex, go ahead and start.
I can't answer that one.
Yeah. I mean, Galactus was obviously the show's deal, and it's like to the point where I'm wondering, how did he even get in the doors? Like his costume had to like deflate or something.
Right.
No, Brody and I saw it as we were going up one of the escalators. He was sitting at the escalator, and it's just in pieces, and his boots are literally stilts.
Yeah,
and
no,
so
he's
standing on the top of the boots.
How he made it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I saw him outside. I should have took a picture, but we were going up the escalator, and I would have been like, but he was out of the suit, kind of like having lunch, sitting against the wall.
So obviously that was the best one. But it's like, one of the things I like about Comic-Con is like even the worst ones are still amazing. Like you just have an old haggard man in a cigarette dressed as Wonder Woman or something. Yeah, it's like huge gnarly beard, with fat and just smoking, but dressed as Wonder Woman, and it's just like soft. Like you got to give him respect.
Props. When I get my beard back, I want to go as Velma. That's what I want to do.
There you go.
That's my new goal.
Yeah, that'll work.
What was the worst, Alex? No, what was the worst? What was the worst? Come on. Aside from the cigarette smoker in Wonder Woman. So that's your worst. Okay, we'll take that as your worst. Jubal, what do you got?
I mean, yeah, there was one guy that was dressed in, I don't even know who he was. I guess he was a princess or something. And it was just like, even as a costume, it just wasn't very well put together. He was like pink and covered in glitter, but it just wasn't. Yeah,
he had pink glitter in his beard. It was great.
Looked like a homeless man in a pink dress, basically.
He was living his best life.
Yeah.
My favorite was a guy who had and he walked past Alex and I, and we were both like, "Oh, that's a deep cut right there." And we Alex actually chased after him and said, "Hey, let us get a picture." He had a big yellow foam hat, right, and a fake mustache, and he had like a box.
Oh, that was
around-
me. I chased after him.
Was that you that chased
Yes.
after him?
Yes.
So Eric wants to fight today. What's up with that?
Just being
So-
factually accurate.
He had like a box around him, and it said "Turd Ferguson." And I was
It
like,
was-
dude, that's
Funny
awesome.
man, Ted Ferguson, funny man.
Yeah.
He comes up, he's all, it's funny. It's funny.
No, yeah. He walks by us, and Jubal and I are just kind of going, "That's
That's
amazing."
rad. Yeah.
And we were so taken aback that like neither of us got our phones out. Right? We were just
Right.
kind of like, just admiration,
Just-
going.
I had just
So-
admired the
so
guy
what's
so
worse?
much. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't know if it's worse.
For
What's better
clarification,
is
help
the
me
guy
out
was
here,
probably like 28 years old. You know what I mean? It wasn't like
28. Now help me out if I'm
yeah, he
wrong.
wasn't like old like us, right? Where he saw that episode live. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So that's Norm Macdonald being Burt Reynolds as Turd Ferguson, right?
On
Right.
Saturday Night Live.
Right.
Playing Jeopardy. Yeah,
Yeah,
playing
right.
the Jeopardy
Celebrity Jeopardy.
game. Yeah.
So he walks by and we're just kind of like and just thinking about Turd Ferguson and how funny that is. And then Jubal goes, "Why didn't we get it? We should have got a picture." And I was like, "Yeah, shit, yeah, we should." And I just like, and then I'm not gonna run after him, really. You know what I mean? So I'm like, "Hey, Turd Ferguson."
But he turned around and came back. Yeah. Yeah. So
Like, am I gonna
he's,
run? Really? I'm not gonna run.
he's
I'm gonna
my favorite. He was my favorite of the con. I
I'll
liked
give
him
you
the best
3
of everyone.
steps, then I'll yell your name, and that's
that's basically what happened. Was I like did like the hope 3 steps, like when you're trying when you want to pretend that you're crossing the street faster than you are, just
Yes.
so it looks like
Yes.
people like you're giving effort.
Mm.
Because people in the cars actually appreciate that. They're like, "Oh, well, he's trying to get across faster." And it's like you're not really going faster, but you kind of give that hitch, like, "Oh, here I go, I'm going." And so I did that, and then I was like, "What am I doing, Ferguson?" Come on back.
It was
So-
awesome. That was an awesome costume.
Yeah, that was great. That was great. So for what was your worst? I hate to say what's the worst.
Yeah,
you know, because some people, these people they're trying or they're
everybody's
expressing
trying.
themselves.
Everybody's
Yeah,
trying, right? Like
There's some people that just aren't trying, dude. They just put something on and tried to make it work.
Yeah, there's a few of those where somebody's walking around with
get-
like a plastic Halloween mask, and you're just
Yeah.
like,
Well, you know what I would say?
So-
I would say then the worst are the obvious strippers who show up showing like side boobs and stuff like that.
That's
Because
Right.
they're
Yeah,
not
terrible.
really.
That's awful.
yeah.
Yeah.
that's
No, I
totally
mean,
fine.
I'll still take a picture.
we don't like
Um,
boobs and butts.
No, I will still take a picture of them. But what I'm saying is like they don't really care.
It's like
They're just there to like take a
Right.
picture
to get
with
followers, right?
to get followers and then see if anybody wants to hire them for the night while they're in town.
Yeah.
Sure.
You
No,
know,
it's what are you going to be for Halloween? I'm going to be a slutty nurse.
Right.
Right.
Okay,
right.
whatever.
But that's
Sometimes it's
like-
amazing how far they can go with so little. You know, I remember one of the first years we were there, my favorite costume was just a guy who showed up with a stormtrooper helmet and a pair of white jockey shorts. Yeah, and that was it. That was his
Right.
costume. I was
So
like,
yeah.
hats off, sir.
Yep, that's it.
My favorite was the guy. There was a guy there who was doing some deep cuts with cosmic characters, which is kind of like my jam. So he did like Fire Lord and he did Living Tribunal on separate days, and I mean full body paint, all that rigmarole, and then he had his girlfriend, or I think she was the person who was actually doing the body paint, the costume designing, as my dogs are going crazy in the background. They she was following him around taking pictures against some stuff, and I mentioned I enjoyed it, and they did like a little tiny interview with me. I don't know if that's gonna show up anywhere or whatever, but that was and that's just because I love cosmic stuff, so he would probably been my favorite. Obviously, Galactus
Mhm.
knocked it out of the park.
That was a great costume. The Galactus
Yeah.
costume.
Trying to think of who else. What was there like? There was like the dodgeball team. Hell, that was pretty funny.
There was a whole cast of the whole cast of Princess Bride.
Sometimes the people too, there's like, maybe the costume isn't the best, but it's the best character for them to sort of be, you know,
Oh,
because of
yeah.
how they look. There was a guy that went as, you know, Balin from Ahsoka, and it's just like, the costume itself fairly simple, you know, a black cape, a black getup, a lightsaber, but he was just perfect for it. Like, he was almost a dead ringer.
He looked like Balin. Like he looked
beard and
exactly like
everything.
Balin.
You gotta play to your strengths. You have to.
Yeah.
This
100%.
guy's there every
A
year.
Comic-Con mainstay, yeah.
Right.
He's there every year being Silent Bob, and all he does is like post up on a pillar.
Mhm.
That's it. He
And
just sits on the
he
pillar.
just photobombs people, and he's like,
Yeah, that's it. That's what he does. You know, I remember back in like 2000. Oh, I don't know. It was pre-COVID, 2016 to 2017. There was a crew there doing some kind of like little documentary on what's his nuts
Kevin Smith.
Kevin Smith. Thank you, for like the 25th anniversary of something maybe, and I was like, hey, did you guys see the Silent Bob cosplayer that's all he does is just sit on a pillar? And they're like, no, where's he at? And I'm like, on a pillar somewhere, like go onto like he's you know, he's not in the front, I'll tell you that. Like
right.
he's not on the pirate ship in the back, I'll tell you that. He's on a pillar on the floor. There's like 8 of them. Good luck.
Right.
Find him.
You will find him.
You will find him.
Find him if you look.
You know?
So going back to the new stuff for this year, you guys went to preview night for the first time. This is new to all of you, right?
Right.
So what kind of experience was this for you, as far as what it brought to you, what you took away from it? Will you go back to it? Jubal.
So preview night always sells out first. Anybody who's tried to get tickets for Comic-Con knows that preview night goes like that. And I think it's because there are a lot fewer tickets sold for preview night than for any of the other days. And it's because there's Turd Ferguson right there. See?
Turd Ferguson.
It's because there's no panels going on that night. So it's just the floor. So basically you get to come in early, get a look at the floor, get first crack at all the stuff that's on sale, and just, you know, take it all in. The problem is, because there's no panels, and because Hall H isn't open, and you know nothing else is happening, it's just the floor. It's not really any less crowded than it would be, right? I had thought that, oh, we're gonna go to preview night, which means we can like walk around and breathe on the floor and like see everything. Not so much. So what I would say is preview night probably is best for people who have never been to Comic-Con before, who want to get oriented, who want to get a look at all the different stores and all the different products that are on the floor without having to worry about making it to a panel on time, right? You just kind of walk around and maybe do a little shopping, get some of the exclusive stuff, because all that exclusive stuff is for sale on preview night, as far as I know. So that's, you know, that's what it's for.
If you're a collector of any kind, preview night would be worth it to get, simply because it was crowded, but you can tell it's slightly less crowded, you know. So it's like, but yeah. So and there are a lot of people just going straight for those exclusive and walking off with just bags and bags of stuff, you know.
Right.
They do it on,
Dude,
they do
that
it on
was
preview
crazy.
night, you know.
The
Like
swag
people, like
hunters.
bags hitting the floor, like they're holding them. They've got them strapped on their shoulders, and the bags are hitting the floors.
Look like a
Yeah.
character in Death Stranding, you know, it's just like trying to get out.
What do you think, Eric? I mean, do you think we're going to go back to preview night?
You know, short answer is no. I think there's a chance maybe in the future, I don't know, we try something, you know, I don't know. I think it always comes up for discussion whenever you have a chance to get it, because it's so rare.
Right.
You know, that it's kind of, you know, but it was certainly for what we do, it wasn't really necessary preview night. None of us really got any exclusives, and I don't know if we could have, even if we had, you know, I guess I thought preview night was different because I have seen YouTube videos of, you know, other YouTube channels, certainly, but hugely more successful YouTube channels than right? And that's what I kind of came to realize. I was like, oh, I've seen one where this certain guy, he's, you know, he's doing stuff and there's barely anyone around him and he's doing all this kind of stuff. And then I looked and I'm like, oh, he's got 3.37 million subscribers. So chances are he was in there like 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Right.
When the doors don't open till 5, because he's got 3.37 million subscribers, right? So they invited him in. You know, you'll have people. So for example, the one I'm talking about, he does a lot of Funko stuff, right? So it is absolutely not beyond the realm of possibility that Funko said, "Hey, why don't you come in?
Right.
We're gonna be setting up. You kind of show off all the stuff. We'll do an interview or two with our people who are here, and you know, it's free advertising for Funko because he's got almost 3.5 million subscribers. It of course that's what they're doing. Of course they are.
Sure.
And so I don't know why I didn't think of that sooner. You know, it wasn't until I got on the floor when I was like, oh, some of these people, you know, with 500,000, 600,000 subscribers, plus they're getting in early.
Yeah.
They're not coming in with everybody. I'll say this, we got to preview night. It still took us almost an hour to get into the venue.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because they had this big old line that went all the way down the street in Hall H and all that kind of stuff. By the time, I mean, we didn't show up. The thing is, we didn't show up at 5 because we figured there would be a big line in the front, and then it would, you know, we've gone enough during the day where we've like going for the first 15 minutes is just a CF because you know, it's just so clogged. So we kind of thought the same thing here. So we showed up at like 5:15. I think by the time I got in, it was like 6:03, something like that. By the time I actually got in the venue, like on the floor, it was like 6:03. And then by that time, yeah, good luck. Go to the Funko booth, go to Hasbro, go to whatever, and try to get in line for an exclusive. Oh, and by the way, they're only doing it on like a lottery system or some QR code that you had to get off of their Instagram or whatever. And I just don't care about exclusives enough to kind of like
go to all that trouble.
It's just not something I'm going to do. In fact, I got exclusive. Actually, I got 3. I got one for you, Bueller, for your nephew. I don't know if that's a spoiler alert for your nephew. I got
it for myself.
Yeah, I got one for me just because it was like, nah, you know what? I told my son, if it's there, if I have an opportunity to get it, I'll get it. I did. And then I got another one, real small one for you, Bueller, just you know. So, but that's it. That's all yeah.
Don't I feel special?
Yeah.
I'm the belle of the ball.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So long story short, preview night, probably, you know, not really for us, but
Right.
I can see why people who really are primarily interested in the floor would want to take that extra time to get in there and see that stuff.
Right. And what Jubal said is exactly right. We're panel people. We're not floor people.
Right.
You know, there's probably people who are 50-50. We're kind of like 80-20, 90-10 panel people at this point.
Yeah.
But there's other people who are 90-10 floor people, I'm sure.
That comes with experience though, because if I was to go with you guys, because I've never been, if I was to do that, then I would want to experience the floor.
Of course.
Right.
Like my heart tells me like I want to go to these panels, and I brought up Hall H in the group chat before, and it's like we don't do Hall H because it's a huge pain in the ass. And I'm like,
right.
That's where all the shit I want to see is that. But then I understand how much of a pain in the ass it is to get it to Hall H, and it's not really. I'm not going to say it's not worth it, because obviously for people who go there and they get in there, it's worth it for them.
Right.
Yeah. Well, here's an example. When we were going into preview night, we had to go around the Hall H line, and there were already people camped out in Hall H's line
For the next day.
for the next day.
Yeah.
Right, and I'm not.
No
I don't-
thanks.
no.
Yeah,
No, thank you.
that's fine.
I
I mean, I've been
can't
lucky that I can bypass the line sometimes, so I've been in Hall H, and it's pretty cool. But I couldn't see just like, that would be your whole trip would just be Hall H.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's just like,
It's not worth it.
Right.
That's really not worth it. But like, you guys are very experienced. You can kind of plot and plan out what you want to do, what panels you want to go to. You also know where the big groups are going to be, and you know where the exclusives are going to be, and what you want to wait in line for.
Yeah.
And that comes with, you know, a decade of experience at the Comic-Con,
Mm.
which is great.
Yeah.
But
First time
still,
I
like,
went, I was like, I'm never coming back. Like, I literally said that. The first time I went, like the first 2 hours, I was like, I'm never coming back here, because I'm not a lot dissimilar from Bueller in the sense of like, I'm not a big fan of people, you know,
Crowds.
especially if they're
Crowds, yeah.
you know, bumping into me, and like, you know, we're all walking in one direction and somebody just stops. I don't care what the hell you're doing. Don't stop.
Mm.
Move off to the side. You know, like, that rubs me the wrong way. Just having no spatial awareness, and there's
oh yeah,
just, I mean, you're talking about, you know, geek fandom, where like 80% of the geek fandom doesn't have social awareness. So they don't got spatial awareness. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not a big fan. So when I got there, and I think I mentioned this in a pod, where I went to get exclusives and for my kids, and so it became it seemed like I was not going to get them. I ended up getting them all. Again, learning experience, but it seemed like I wasn't going to get them, and then I was kind of pissed about that, because it's, you know, it wasn't for me, it was for my kids. That messes with you more, blah blah blah. But I looked around and I was just like, oh, I don't even like this. I'm not sure I'm ever coming back. And now it's like, I don't know, it's one of the things I look forward to most every year. So
All
Yeah.
right,
So
biggest takeaway from this year's Comic-Con. Let's go ahead and run down the line here. Eric, you go first.
oh, I don't know if I have some big takeaway other than preview night, you know, just might not be for us.
Right.
You know, that's a reasonably big takeaway. I think I was saying earlier while you were getting some water, which, you know, Jubal was asking whether we'd go back, and I'm like, you know, there's always going to be that twinge to want to, because it's so rare to be able to get preview night, because it's the first thing that sells out, that when you have a chance to get it, you kind of just go, oh, okay, maybe I'll get it. That might happen again, but I'm certainly not going to miss preview night anymore.
Right.
I'm not going to be like, oh, darn, I missed out on preview night again. I'll be like, yeah.
right.
Been there, done that. Yeah, that kind of
Right.
thing. Alex, what do you got?
Pretty
Biggest
much.
takeaway?
oh, but you know, this year was the first year we tried riding the tram instead
Yes,
of
I don't even know
getting-
how. I just thought about that as you were about to say it. How did we not talk about that yet?
And instead of you know doing parking and everything, and so we did that, and you know it's a little bit of a pain in the ass, sure, but I mean you certainly save a good amount of money, because each trip is about $250. We ended up going from, what was it, Mission Valley? Was that where we were? 'Cause
Yep.
we
Yeah.
were just getting Breakfast Republic every day, because it's amazing, you know.
Right.
And so you
Commercial
go
for
from
Breakfast
there.
Republic.
Yeah, the place is great. Place is
Yeah,
great.
we'll plug it as many times as we can.
Yeah.
And so that was interesting,
Skip
because
opportunity,
you know,
yeah.
save some money, and you don't have to walk so far to your car. And you know, I don't know if it's worth it or not exactly, but you know, we'd probably have to like discuss it and just figure it out. But that was one of as far as new experiences go, we did that. And you know, it can get pretty crowded on the cars sometimes. You think like when you get on, you're like, hey, it's not so bad, but you have like 8 stops before you get there, and each one just has, you know, fat people in costumes, just like you know, scrunch their way inside. But
And then normal commuters who are like bringing their bikes on.
Right. Right.
And you're just like,
Yeah.
oh, your
Oh,
bike?
like the giant
Your
pit
bike, though?
bulls.
Yeah.
Or what?
Yeah.
Yeah, the
Giant
giant
pit
pit
bulls.
bulls, but it was actually a good dog.
That
so.
one.
Yeah.
Brought his pit bull on the. Jesus.
But to
Dude,
be fair, it's a cool dog. So yeah, what
I
you gotta
gotta, I
do.
gotta say, man, to be honest, like I've gone, I haven't gone to a lot of places, but I've been to New York and obviously Southern California, the Bay Area, stuff like that. Once you figure out how to navigate public transportation, it's
Mhm.
kind of nice.
Yeah.
Right.
Way cheaper.
Right.
When we went to New York in October, like 3 or 4 years ago, I was like, we'll just Uber everywhere.
Right.
My God, nothing against Uber, but the price difference was insane. And once we figured out the subway system in New York, so much cheaper, super easy,
Mhm.
nothing crazy. Like
Right.
if you can figure it out and it just takes a few minutes of your time, I know it can be overwhelming, but it can absolutely be worth it.
Yeah.
And different and different the tram system in San Diego did not smell like pee. It was
Yeah.
pretty clean.
Mhm.
Yet I haven't been there yet.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean,
I
even
didn't-
though,
I didn't-
yeah, that's a good point because it was crowded, but it actually, as far as sanitary goes, it was actually pretty good.
It was pretty clean. I mean, I didn't
Mhm.
see a lot of graffiti. I didn't
There
see
was no
like
graffiti. There was no
your
like
mom scratched into you
Right.
know chairs.
no shitty
Nothing smelled like
characters
piss. You
shaking
know,
people down or anything like that. Like it
pretty
was.
clean.
I got the feeling that the people of San Diego really appreciate the MTS. Right. They really appreciate the tram, and they take care of it. Everybody was really polite. I would echo Alex in saying that that was the biggest learning experience for me this year was taking that tram every day.
Yeah.
And actually, I had some really fascinating conversations with some people that were on the tram too. There was one guy that was a cameraman for CNN. I got to talk to him for 20 minutes. Another guy that was a genetic engineer, right? Works in a bio lab. Got to talk to him for a while, and then there was another guy who was crazy, and I got to talk to him.
And he goes to San Diego Comic-Con every week.
Yeah, I was like, you go to Comic-Con a lot, and he goes every week.
And
I believed him. I believed him.
He shows up
So-
dressed like Captain America.
So it was a good con this year. I think we all had a good time.
I feel like Annette, who we had on a few podcasts ago, spoke very highly of the tram system as well.
Yeah.
And it
She
was
did.
completely on her recommendation that
That's
we
right.
did it.
That's right.
We had never done it before, and then we just kind of went like, Annette's been, beating this
Batting
drum,
1,000. She's batting 1,000.
and she's killing it on pretty much everything else. So
Mhm.
If you're
Let's give
if
it a
you're if you're a new viewer, we had Annette on a few podcasts ago. She lives in the area. She was able to give some really solid advice. If you're watching this for SDCC advice, go back to that episode, listen to what she has to say. She's got great advice on food, transportation, parking, where to stay. Literally everything is on that podcast. She is
Mhm.
a wealth of knowledge. You really have to check that one out.
Mhm.
But especially the food. Yeah. Like,
Especially food. There's some good
Uh,
food.
just like
in San Diego.
everything. Hey, where can we get this? Oh, the most recommends like the most amazing tacos you've ever had.
Yeah.
We'll take any food sponsors we can get on this podcast, by the way.
Yeah.
Cross Street Wings, Cross Street
Dude,
Wings.
Cross Street Wings are amazing.
Hodad.
Hodad.
Always Hodad's. That's
Always
the
Hodad's
one
every year.
place we have gone to Hodad's every year that we've gone to Comic-Con.
Yes.
That is the one place that we've hit every year.
All I can
That's
say
the-
about
yeah.
San Diego is Slater's 5150, or
Mm-hmm.
that's what it's called. I like that place. I don't know if you guys have gone there before. I have
It's
not.
good. It's a really good place.
I enjoyed their burgers. But yeah, man, sounds like you guys had a wonderful time. San Diego Comic-Con 2025 has come to a wrap. You guys are all home safely with a lot of souvenirs, I assume, and a lot of wonderful memories and pictures that we hope to get up on our TikToks, our Twitters, whatever we can do momentarily as soon as it's available. Thank you for your time. Eric, Jubal, Alex, on behalf of Cult Fiction, thank you for your time. Have a good night.
Thanks, everybody.